Well, welcome everybody to this week's Tech Thursday. Thank you so much for getting up early on these rainy days and joining these calls. If it's raining where you're at, but it's raining here, so I know that a lot of people are maybe moving a little slow this morning, getting around. But thank you for being here. We are going to talk today about QR codes and link shorteners. Anybody who's on the call right now, or raise your hand, drop in the chat. Do you use QR codes, and what are you currently using QR codes for if you do?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Lorena. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So I was using a QR code, and I was putting it on my card, and it was
Okay.
going like directly to my website. But this is before when I was on a team, and when
Mm-hmm.
I left, I tried to do a QR code for my new website, but I don't know if something changed where now they're charging to do QR codes, but I couldn't figure it out
Okay.
before I
Awesome.
ordered my new cards. But I would love to find out how to do it because of this.
Yeah, yeah. So that's we're going to give you lots of options with that today, and some are free and some are paid. You know, obviously with paid features, you're going to get a lot more out of them. But if you're looking for a simple QR code, there are definitely free ways to get them done. Anybody else?
I've just been starting to use them a little more since I've figured out how to create some of them. I've been using them like open houses now instead
Mm-hmm.
of having a bunch of information on paper and all over the place.
Yep.
I will
Yep.
do QR codes, post them in places for them to go back to the listing, for example, and or I've also pulled some QR codes of websites for information around the area where the home may be,
Mm-hmm.
like what's happening in, Roseville, for example. And I'll just have
Yep.
a QR code that they can go out to an article or some information about
I
things. So things like that.
I
Info,
love
right?
that. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a great opportunity to provide quick access. I mean, that's what the QR code, for those of you who are always wondering, a QR is quick response. So that's exactly what it does. It's an easy way to get information out there. All I have to do is scan that, and they can get out there. So there are a lot of great uses for them. We're going to go over a few today, and I have a few resources for you to kind of go, where you can find them as well. So let's hop right in then. So again, excuse me. So there are two types of QR codes specifically. So we're going to talk first about QR codes, and then we're going to talk about their little brother in link shorteners. But we're going to start with QR codes. So QR codes, there are two types that you need to think about, and there are what you call static QR codes, and there are dynamic QR codes. So static QR code is going to be one that you can't change it. Whatever code is on there, you can't change where that links to behind it. Um, Dynamic is one that you can change where that link goes to and not have to change the QR code itself. So a dynamic one would be a great one for like a sign writer if you want more information on that house, and then you can reuse that same sign writer, just put different information behind it on your next listing. So we're going to first talk about some static QR codes. Now, what are some business case uses for static QR codes? Lorena actually mentioned one. You can get a business card. You can basically make it your digital business card. You can link it to another website that has all your information. It's a great way you can put a QR code out to gain reviews. So if you're looking to get reviews for your business, QR code is an easy way for people to just, scan. Like at the end of a class, for example, we use them a lot when I'm teaching. We have a QR code at the end that says, hey, leave us a review, and it'll, easily scan to that. Diane mentioned open house sign-in forms, a great use case for that, so that people don't have to either, touch your device, or they can just, scan the QR code and sign into your open house that way, around, using a QR code. As Diane mentioned, and I think Carrie's on here. Yeah, so you can also use them, and this is a brilliant use case for them. You can use them to highlight features around the house, either for an open house or just for general showing. So, you could go in and let's just say you've got a new listing and you want to highlight a feature that maybe doesn't just, stand out, but you want to feature, what that is. You could put a QR code in over a light switch that says, hey, I don't know, great neighborhood pool or great community pool, and you could have that go to a video of you kind of giving them a tour of the pool, or just highlight features around the house as you're going around them. And again, you can use it so it basically is doing a lot of your heavy lifting for you around the house. Also, great use for them for community guides, relocation guides, buyer guides. You kind of get that you get the idea from that. Great opportunity for you to get feedback from an open house too. So, maybe traditionally you had them carry around a clipboard and then give you that clipboard at the end where they gave you that feedback. Well, instead, have a QR code at the end that says, hey, let us know what you thought about this open house. And you use that as a great lead capture tool. And then you can also use a static use for like social links. If you wanted to say, hey, follow me on Instagram, and you can have a QR code that goes right to your Instagram page. So those are some static use cases around that. Any other ones that you guys have seen, as far as for QR codes, just kind of for static cases? Essentially anything you can get to a website from, or a lot of other videos and stuff like that, you can use a QR code to do it. All right, so some dynamic uses. So again, dynamic ones are going to be able where the QR code itself stays the same, but you can change where it is linking to. So again, some use cases for this would be, a rider sign. You gotta, hey, check out this property, or even your sign itself. I've seen some firms that use the actual listing sign is a QR code, and that goes to that property information. You could make it so that whatever property that is going to changes based on where that sign is up at. So a dynamic code would be able to do that, whereas a static code, you need to get a new sign every time. Another case, if you have, let's just say you're hosting or like for me, for example, I host monthly first-time home buyer webinars. I could use a link, a QR code, have the same QR code every time, but it goes to the registration page for that specific event. Another use case for market updates for them. So, you could say, hey, here's my monthly market update, but have it go to a different, the most updated market report each time, but use the same QR code and have that at your open house or wherever you're out meeting people. And, again, you're having that most recent link out there. Or, another one, let's say you're, consistently putting out new content, whether it's a video on YouTube or a podcast. If you're making podcasts, you can have it linked to your most recent one rather than have it just linked to, hey, here's my podcast from January 5th. You could have it say, here's the link to my most recent podcast, and you're just changing that link behind the scenes. But it's the same QR code every time. What other anybody have any other use cases for for a dynamic kind of code?
Well, this is what I'm going to use for our open house directionals, thinking like in the neighborhood,
Yep.
People will scan it and then it will actually show the date and time of that open house.
Of that specific open house. Yeah, I actually thought of you when you posted that for your the open house sign order for that specifically. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so directionals to get them, and that way that same sign can be reused, just depending on where that open house is that day. I love that.
Yeah, we're going to probably do 2 to 3, like at least in our team, that, we have 2 or 3 open houses a weekend,
Yeah, so you get 2 to 3 sets of them kind of set up for you.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. All right, so how do you make them? That's great. These are some great use cases. How do you make them? What do they look like? And how can, you add them to things? So first one that we're going to use here, this is a free one. So if you're using Google Chrome, they are very easy to create and they're free. Now, the downside of using the free Google Chrome one is you have no tracking on it. So you're not going to be able to know when people clicked on it, who clicked on it, or anything like that. You're just going to, this is just a great way to just say, hey, scan this QR code and, you can get out there. So if you go into Google Chrome, so if you have your browser here, I don't have the full browser up on this slide deck here, but if you go to the 3 dots at the end, and then you go to, you're going to drop down menu is going to pop up, and then you're going to see cast, save, and share as a drop down. And then that's going to give you another drop down. And then right from there, it's going to be create QR code. And then what that's going to do is it's going to create an image. So it's going to create a downloadable image that is the QR code to whatever you have in your browser address here. So this is an example that was going to the landing page for our the real estate school, and that would create that QR code for that specific address. So that's a free one. You can, again, there's no tracking behind that, but it's a great, easy resource. I think Lorena mentioned, for business cards, you could do that. Your business card's probably not going to change where you're sending that to. You don't need to have a paid. You don't necessarily care to see who's who get a count of who's using that. So that would be a great free tool for how to create that QR code. And again, you could create this within seconds. Now, there are also probably thousands now of other resources out there. I've pulled together a few that I think are some of the better ones out there for that allow a little bit more customization, analytics behind them. And there are some that will actually link to more than just websites or YouTube videos. So the first one is probably the granddaddy of them all, is called Bitly. So Bitly, it's bit.ly, is one of them. I'll go out to that one as an example. So Bitly is, again, it starts free. The limitations behind the free service on Bitly is that there's not much tracking. So I have a Bitly account here. It's a free account. I go to my QR codes, and you can see there's the analytics are hidden because I have a free account here. But you can very easily create a code here by just going to up top here, hit create code. You're going to put whatever your destination is in there. So let's just say I'm going to go to Level Up Learning, and I'm going to drop that in here. And now you can see it created what that code is going to look like. And I'm just going to say Level Up Learning. And then I could design my code. From there, there's a limited options as far as what you can do with free, but if I wanted that to be green, I could make that green and then hit create my code. And now it's going to give me the option to download PNG. Now, all of them work the same mechanics around what they are. So I'm going to download this PNG. And now this PNG is that QR code that if I set this on a flyer of some sort, or out at an open house, that's going to go to that exact landing page. So again, that's a free one. They have a paid service as well. If you wanted to get some analytics behind it. So you can see they'll give you some, but I believe you can create 100 for free every month, but you get no tracking or analytics behind them. Don't quote me on the 100 either. But I know that, again, you have some limitations on the free service there. Another great one that, again, all of them have free options. It's just limitations on what you get with the freeness. But in paid accounts, you can get full tracking, and all three of these with paid accounts, they also create dynamic links. So here is another one. It's called Hovercode. So if I go out to Hovercode, a very similar thing here. This one I think allows you 3 per month that you can create, but this one is, again, the same kind of service. You can download that QR code once you create it. If I go to QR codes, and I have one created here for all of the classes, I just download the QR code, and that is that. So you can see this one had a little bit more customization. I could add an actual logo to this one in the free account. And again, what this one has for free, if I go back to it, it has tracking on it. So I can click on that and it'll show me how many people have downloaded it, and how many total scans it have, and then how many unique scans. So this would be, if the same person downloaded it multiple times, it's only going to show up as one unique scan there. So that's another great free one out there. And then the final free one, and they also have a paid one as well. And then the final one, I think this one offers the most customization to it. I really like how this one looks. And this is called Flowcode. So if I go to Flowcode, this one is it's, again, they all do they're all created the same way. This one just has a lot of premium features to it. So if I go to here to create, and I want to create a QR code, I can start from a template. So they've got a bunch of templates that are, a little more aesthetically pleasing, a little more themed if you need them. So for example, if I wanted to link one out to a YouTube video, it's kind of YouTube themed. It matches the colors. It's got the Instagram template as well. So Flowcode is a great one. Flowcode also has, with the paid account, they have these what they're called flow pages, which are basically single landing pages. You can see these kind of look like those link in bio kind of pages, or the bio links where you can put anything behind them as well. But another cool feature with Flowcode is you can link with Flowcode out to a lot of different things. So if I go to create, and I'm just going to do a custom QR code, and I'm going to say, sorry, with one of the excuse me, with the QR codes with Flowcode, you can actually send them out to other places. So let's say as an example, you have an Airbnb property up in the mountains, and you wanted to have the Wi-Fi code out there, just for your guests to use. You can create a QR code that just will open up and connect to the Wi-Fi. So it kind of shares the password rather than having to put all the unique information there. You can just say, hey, scan QR code, and it will connect them to the Wi-Fi. So you can use that for there's a lot of other customizations with Flowcode that some of the other tools didn't have. So that's a cool one there. And Flowcode will also link to documents a lot easier. So let's say you wanted to upload, a PDF and you wanted to share. You can actually make the QR code a link to the document rather than linking out to your Google Drive or your Dropbox or wherever else you had that there. And again, they've got the tracking here, the custom analytics with it. Shows you, this one, again, this is a free account that I have here. Shows you how many people have scanned in the last 90 days, 30 days, and how many unique scans have been to that. So those are some three of the top sources out there as far as a little more advanced QR codes with features that are behind them. Any questions, thoughts, and anything for the QR codes?
So this is going to probably be like a dumb question. Because so when you create, I know how I get the creation of them and places to use them. Mm-hmm. So aside from placing them in like hard places, like on walls or places in homes, like when you place it on I don't know, on your Instagram or something, I guess the thing that I am always like, I don't understand is if it's on Instagram and I'm on my phone, mm-hmm. How am I'm not scanning a QR code. So help me understand the functionality. Maybe you're going to get to that. So if I'm jumping ahead, but
no, I'm not. I have a pretty cool feature that a lot of people don't know with that, because I'm the same way with that. Like I was the same way with, why would you put a QR code in places where they have their camera in their hand? So as an example, if it's on Facebook or if it's on Instagram or if it's on anything like that, what you can actually do with pretty much any modern phone, I don't know the exact iOS you have to be on to get it to do it, but if you long press on a QR code, it will actually open the QR code up. So if you save it as a picture, it will open the QR code out without having to scan it. You can actually long press on the QR code, and it will open it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's not a dumb question, because I see people do that all the time, and they're like, well, how can that my camera is in my hand and I'm on it, so how do I get to it? But yeah, you can actually save that photo and long press on it, and it will open the link the same way as if you were scanning it. Any other questions, thoughts? All right, so now let's move to their go ahead.
I said that was brilliant.
Thank you. Now let's go to the little stepbrother of QR codes, which are link shorteners. So a lot of times, especially with some of these, how many websites there are out there, some of these links can get really long, and you can use a link shortener instead to kind of a couple features that come along with what I think are for link shorteners. One is it just makes that link look a lot Oh, sorry, I skipped this part here. Before we get into that, here are a few that I have created. If you wanted to scan any of these are the first one would be to leave a review for Level Up Learning. The second one there with the dinosaur, that's what the free ones from Google look like. That they always have the dinosaur in them. You could bring it into a photo editor and get rid of the dinosaur if you didn't like that. But if you need a free seller net sheet tool, I have created a spreadsheet where you could download that there. And if you want to subscribe to Level Up Learning on YouTube, the last QR code would go to that there. But that middle one is a free tool that you can use for your seller net sheets, which hopefully everybody has updated theirs and is doing them a little more regularly and earlier on in the process with your listings. But link shorteners, what's that?
Quick question. I assume you're not going to go through like the paid versions, like which programs you like better.
I didn't do that. I'll leave that to you.
Okay.
I think that my favorite one of them is Flowcode for sure. Of those three, I think that they just look the most aesthetically pleasing, a lot more customization, and I think you can get the most value for that, in my opinion.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so finishing up here with the stepbrother of QR codes, and a lot of them kind of work together. Like all three of those that I showed, they all have link shorteners in them as well. But just some use cases for link shorteners. These are great. It's like just say you want to post something onto, I don't know, your Instagram story or Facebook story, and you want to see, does anybody actually click on the link that I put in there? You can instead make at let's just say you put a video into your Facebook story, and hey, click on the full video here. You want to see if people are actually going out to it. You can use a link shortener to kind of track what kind of social activity you got. Another use case for it, I love to do this. So I have like a pre-listing packet. Well, it's actually a website. It's a landing page that I'll send out to my listing appointments, and I will send them that link. And by having it tracked, I can know before I get there whether they've looked at my pre-listing documentation or not. So that, if I'm putting this effort into, this pre-listing package, so to speak, I can know ahead of time whether they've been there, so that when I say, hey, do you have a chance to look at that all those the landing page, the website that I sent you that tells you a little bit about what I can do to help you sell your house, and they say yes, and I know they haven't clicked on the link, I'm like, oh, well, you're clearly a liar. Or just, again, you can kind of see what kind of when they're looking at that. So you can use a link shortener as a way to kind of track when people are opening links, especially if it's something specific to one person. They're also good for kind of just creating branding. So rather than have this ginormous link that goes out, let's just say you're sharing a Google document. Well, it's going to be like drive.google.com / it's going to go on forever. You could make it say chriscox.com / whatever that branded link is. So you can kind of create some consistency with whatever content you're sharing out there. And again, I just think they're a little more trustworthy rather than people clicking on these 7,000 character links that people may question. If it says, this is an email coming from Chris Cox, and then the website's going to Chris Cox, it just, I think it just builds a little bit more trustworthiness with those links, that they're actual live links. And then I think they just look a lot better, especially if you're sending them to somebody. You can, with the link shortener, it's just a more aesthetic looking link rather than it being, again, 30 lines long, especially like if you're sharing it on social media too. Sometimes that long link takes up half of what people can see on there. So link shorteners are a great way to do that. Again, they work. Why I kind of did these together, many of the services they're the same, their same ones, but there are a couple other ones out there that specialize just in link shortening as opposed to QR codes. And these are two that I chose for this because they don't have some of those other features behind them. So the QR code is, maybe just a little more technologically advanced. I find with both of these, especially, you can get more for free out of them. So tinyURL is kind of like one of the originals in this whole side of the technology. So tinyURL, you can sign up for a free account on there. I'm going to click on that and go out to that. So tinyurl.com, you can see you can create a free account. If I go to sign in, so you can just, it's just create, drop your link in there, and it's going to shorten that URL. So that becomes my URL for this, because I'm not a paid account. There's no branding that I can use with that. But because tinyURL is one of those, again, one of the first ones that was available for this, you've probably seen tinyURLs somewhere in your travels. So it becomes, again, this case is not much shortener, but it would allow me tracking behind it. But if you had that very long link, it makes it definitely a much better link to be able to see. And then the other one, this one, I think why I like this one is because you can create for free. It's called dub.co. So app.dub.co is this one. This one has great analytics behind it, which is why I like this one. And you can create up to 100, I think, per month for free. So dub.co, and it's the same thing. Create the link. If you had a paid account, you'd have the opportunity here to change what domain is the shortener in front of it. And then, so again, you can create this domain for free. I didn't go over it much today, but you can actually, if you created a ton of QR codes or link shorteners, you can actually use tags to kind of filter them out too. But again, just drop the link in there, and then that creates that QR code, that shortener. And then you've got that tracking behind it as well. So, hey, I dropped this link today on my social media. I want to see, what kind of interest or activity I get in it. I can actually see what is actually people are engaging with rather than just viewing. So, you can get some analytics behind, hey, 27 people viewed my Instagram story, but how many people are actually clicking on things, and are they actually getting out to them? The link shortener is a great way to get that done there. So that's what I had for today. What you guys got? What kind of questions?
So with all these sites and things, is it easily doable, like from your phone? I do a lot of on the fly, posting or doing and creating a link, putting a link on a story. Can you easily drop it on your phone to get the short link to then be able to post? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think a couple of these, I'm not 100% sure, but I think a couple of those websites that I went out, I know Bitly has an app too. They have like a mobile app for your phone that you can easily create them on the fly as well. So yeah, if you're more of that mobile, you can definitely create a lot of this stuff on there as well. Other questions? Thoughts? What do you guys think?
I appreciate you doing this because of what we're doing. And I thought this is going to be a great video to be able to share with someone who doesn't know how to do it. And I'm not great at walking people through tech. So I appreciate you.
Awesome. Cool. I'm glad I could help.
Yep.
Love to see what you'll do with it. Anyone else?
It's good. Appreciate having the different resources. Gonna check them out.
Awesome. Yeah, hopefully, yeah. There are hundreds of others of all of them too, and they all, at least from what I've seen, they all work pretty much the same as far as how you create them. The only, kind of just depends on what you want to pay for them, if you want to use a paid service, and what kind of customization you want to them. So.
Do
Awesome.
you recommend the paid services over the free services?
I would definitely start with the free services. I think that most people can start with the free services, see if it's something you think you're going to use, see if you're going to find some value out of it. I don't like to spend anybody's money unnecessarily, but I think you can with most of them, you can get a good idea for free, I think, and then try some of the more paid features if you need to get to that spot. All right. Any other thoughts? All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. Next week, the 20th, we have ManyChat, which is a social media tool that you can use to automate responses and get people to sign up for things. So if you haven't used that or looked into that, feel free to join that next week. And then the week after that, we're going to have a guest teacher with Yvonne Schaefer is going to be teaching RPR. And then I will have March's schedule out. I've got some good ideas from everybody for some content, for some topics for March. So thank you so much for being here today, and hope to talk to you all soon.
Thank you. It's very helpful.
Awesome. Thanks,
you.
Phyllis.
Have a good
Appreciate you
day.
being here.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.